Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brian West, and I am the District Staffing Specialist. I'm responsible for coordinating the staffing and educational planning process involved with special education eligibility, placement, and program changes. This is an initial meeting to discuss Shane McCaffrey's individual education plan, otherwise known as an IEP. We have joining us today the district psychologist, Wes Bloomker. He evaluated your son through a variety of assessments and observations in which he will review shortly. We also have Susan Diller, the district ESE specialist. Susan is responsible for providing support to this school to ensure that students with exceptionalities are able to demonstrate increased participation and performance in the curriculum. Susan also assists the school in our district in determining accommodations. Then we have Brittany Wilson, your son's special education teacher. She is responsible for servicing your child's needs in the general education setting and collaborating with the general education teacher. She is also responsible for progress monitoring related to your child's educational goals. Here we have Mr. Cochavella, your child's general education teacher. He provides updates to Mrs. Wilson in order to compile the data needed to show Shane's progress, as well as incorporating accommodations outlined in the IEP. Finally, we have Mr. Porter, our school's principal. He is responsible for ensuring that Mr. Cochavella and Mrs. Wilson are adhering to the provisions of the IEP. Now, Mr. McCaffrey, you have been provided a copy and signed the notice of procedural safeguards outlining you and your child's rights. Is this correct?
Yes, sir.
Great. Okay, so this meeting standards and norms are as follows. Each participant will respect the views of others. Everyone will communicate clearly and listen carefully. And we will share views willingly, as well as ask for clarification when needed. All in all, everyone needs to be open to new ideas and views, as we are here for the benefit of Shane. Now, Mr. Cochavella, can you please explain how Shane is performing in class currently?
I'd be happy to. Of course, first and foremost, I would like to say Shane's an absolute pleasure to have in class. He's well liked by his peers, cooperative in the classroom, and he exhibits a love of learning. In the beginning of the year, each student takes part in a diagnostic evaluation from our instructional software, Lexia and iReady. This assessed a variety of math and reading skills that a student would have achieved prior to entering the third grade. From there, Shane and I have been working on the skill sets analyzed as deficient for his grade level. Most importantly, I noticed that these deficiencies in reading are impeding his ability to work in other subjects. We started the Response and Intervention, or RTI program, in order to help Shane reach specific goals. I also spoke to Shane's father, and he expressed concerns related to his academics. I also spoke, we both agreed that we want Shane to be successful in school and life. It is my job to advocate for students and protect their learning, which is why we are gathered here today. That's all I have to add to this.
Thank you, Mr. Cochavella.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Hi, everyone. I will try to keep this in terms that are easily understood for everyone, but please do not hesitate to ask for clarification. I know much of this clinical terminology can be overwhelming. Shane took part in the following psycho-evaluations: General Ability Index, GAI, Visual Motor Integration, VMI-6, and the Wechsler Intelligence Scale for Children, WISC-V. The Wechsler scale showed Shane as a student with below average intellectual abilities. Shane's strength lies in verbal communication and comprehension. He is able to access and apply word knowledge, which involves reasoning and expression. A weakness is evidence in working memory or his ability to manipulate visual and auditory information. A difference of 25 points was found between Shane's verbal comprehension and working memory. This is significant and unusual. Due to this discrepancy, the General Ability Index, or GAI, was calculated. The GAI allows consideration of the children's verbal and nonverbal abilities without the influence of working memory and processing speed factors. Shane resulting GAI was 76 and was significantly higher than his full-scale IQ score. View my 6 screens for visual motor deficits that can lead to learning, behavior, and neuropsychological problems. Shane's demonstrates average skills in visual motor integration. Overall, these evaluations noted deficits in the areas of phonological awareness and memory. In my professional experience, this may be impeding on Shane's ability to read and comprehend grade level material. Shane's primary disability has been evaluated as SLD, or specific learning disability. This is defined as one or more basic psychological processes involved in understanding or in using language. This disorder may manifest itself in the imperfect ability to listen, think, speak, read, write, or do mathematical calculations. In Shane's case, he has trouble processing information as well as being able to store and reference new information.
Thank you, Mr. Bloomker.
You're welcome.
And hello to everyone. My role as the ESE specialist for the district involves reporting on special considerations, extended school year services and accommodations to be provided for the academic success of Shane in the general education setting. The special considerations taken into account are listed on page 2. Mr. McCaffrey, please feel free to review if you have not already. The answers to all of the above special considerations have been deemed no at this time. The conditions associated with the extended school year in which a student would be eligible for services outside of the regular school year have also been examined. Currently, Shane does not meet the requirements and will not be needing this service. The effects of the student exceptionality on his ability to perform and make progress in the general curriculum are as follows. Shane has weakness in working memory, and he has comprehension difficulty in the general education classroom. Taking this into consideration, appropriate accommodations will be recommended for daily use in the classroom and in place during district and state testing. The following accommodations will allow Shane to meet his goals as well as participate in the general education classroom and curriculum. He will have opportunity for student to paraphrase or repeat directions, repeated, summarized, or clarified test directions, preferential seating in class, verbal encouragement with no cue regarding correct or incorrect responses, extended time for test, a test within a small group setting, oral presentation of all directions, and an oral presentation of all allowable test items and answer choices.
Thank you, Mrs. Dillard, and good afternoon, Mr. McCaffrey. I know this has been a lot of information to take in, and as you can see, I've listed the pertinent information regarding Shane as well as the goals outlined for him. I'll be meeting with Shane twice daily for intervention during his regular scheduled English language arts and math block. I do want to review the present levels of academic and functional performance as well as his latest grades and WEA scores and how the specific learning disability affects his educational need. From there, we will discuss the goals in the IEP that are essentially the roadmap to his academic success. So if we start out over here and take a look, we have the present levels of academic achievement and functional performance. So this is based on cognitive, physical, oral language communication, social emotional behavior, and adaptive abilities. So starting off with cognitive, we always like to talk the strength. This is verbal comprehension. The opportunities that we have noticed are in his working memory, his ability to manipulate auditory and visual information, phonological awareness, and comprehension. Going down to the physical aspect, there's no reported concerns. We did do the vision and hearing screening as we do every year, and he has passed. Now with the oral language and communication, once again, there's no opportunities, so to speak, but more strengths that we have witnessed. Those are in asking and answering questions, following directions, and classroom routines and social interactions. Now, coming down to the social and emotional behavior aspect, his strengths are that he's cooperative, he stays on task, enjoys engaging with other peers. We do find an opportunity, based on his deficiencies in working memory and processing, it causes him to take longer in finishing assignments, to which he does become a little inattentive, he gets frustrated, and when that happens, he tends to use some negative self-critical phrases. In regards to the adaptive abilities, his strengths are that he makes great decisions, his ability to focus in school, adapt to new situations. We do find an opportunity in that he only seeks adult help 50% of the time. So when he is struggling in school, he only asks the teacher for help 50% of the time. Now if we go over here to his grades as of March 6th, you can see he's excelling in all of his related arts. We do see social studies at a 72, science at an 85, and then where our concerns are at is at math and language arts. So we do find that science and social studies may be a little lower based on his comprehension of being able to read the material. So looking over at the NWEA scores. Now I do want to mention, just to kind of give you a little background of it. So it's a test designed to scaffold the student in order to get a true representation of their abilities. For instance, if a student gets a question correct in a specific content area, then the next question gets a little harder. If the student gets it wrong, they move back to their previous level. If the student gets it right, it goes on to get a little bit more difficult. This ends up giving it an overall representation of the exact skills and content area needing improvement that's on grade level and above grade level, so we can really tailor what he needs. What we can see here is we have a fall score, so we're looking at reading only right now. So we have a fall score, what we call a RIT, R-I-T, at 162. That's when he entered the school year, and he was on a first grade level. The typical score would be a 187. So what we tend to see, which is normal, is slight regression in the winter based on winter break. The content tends to get a little bit more difficult. We're building on past concepts. So in this aspect, he went from a 162 to a 159. He actually fell into the kindergarten to middle first grade area. Again, we're noticing, we're used to seeing regressions, however, wouldn't want to go that far. In spring, we're at a 174, a typical is 187, so he went from a kindergarten back up to the first grade level, where he essentially made no progress in that year. Now looking at math, we have a fall RIT score of 178. He actually started the year at a second grade level. We moved down to winter, again, we expect regression. He moved from a 178 to a 169. Our typical, or our average for the district and the state is 184. So he moved from a grade level 2 to a grade level 1. In spring, he measured at a 178, which a typical is 190, but he ended up being at the same exact place. So even though he made that regression, he actually did come back up to where he started in the fall. So just to touch on the effects of the exceptionality, or the SLD, the specific learning disability that we have recognized, is that Shane's working memory and his ability to manipulate visual and auditory information, which consequently affects his comprehension skills. So with that being said, we as a group and as a team, we've come up for 4 goals, 2 English language art goals to focus on and 2 math goals to focus on. One of which, when Shane is given a grade level passage, Shane will utilize text evidence to answer comprehension questions 75% of the time in 3 out of 4 consecutive opportunities. The next goal that we have chosen is that he will read grade level material orally with accuracy, expression, and an appropriate rate of 90 words per minute. And that's going to be on an 80% accuracy rate 3 out of 4 consecutive times. Now moving on to math. When given a grade level math problem, Shane will utilize accommodations that Ms. Dillard has already spoken to you about and that Mr. Cochavella will implement into his classroom, as well as myself, that in order to support him correctly solving the problems with 75% accuracy 3 out of 4 consecutive opportunities. Now, given a 2-step math word problem at grade level, Shane will identify a correct operation to set up and solve the math problem 85% of the time. So these goals are going to be monitored in 3-week intervals, in which both Shane teacher, Mr. Cochavella, and myself will get together. We're going to compile the information, both formal and informal assessments, will be given to compile that data for accurate progress monitoring, in which you will be given that information every 3 weeks. The priority educational goal that we are trying to reach is to increase Shane's reading comprehension skills in order to meet grade level expectations. So this will also aid in his math computation, and by adhering to these goals and accommodations and providing Mr. Cochavella with additional strategies to use in his classroom, we have all the faith in the world that Shane will reach that annual goal that we've outlined here. So now that Mr. Blomker and Ms. Dillard has identified the accommodations agreed upon for success in the general education classroom and curriculum, I'd like to ask if you have any questions or concerns, Mr. McCaffrey.
At this time, I don't. Ultimately, I appreciate everything that everybody has done for Shane. I know that I need to do my part, and with your assistance, whether it be through any additional activities or skills or paperwork that Shane can do at home, I'd love to be involved in that. I'm confident in this process that we'll be able to see Shane's progression through the future. I know this is a partnership, and I want to assist in any way I can.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you being on board. I know that's a lot of information to take in, but I want you to know that we're all working as a team to better assist Shane in our school and provide you with additional at-home learning materials like you've requested. So if there's anything else I can do or any concerns that you have, please let me know. I'm going to make copies of all the paperwork that we've gone over, as well as obviously signing everything. And I want to give you my phone number and email as well, and I really would rather you not hesitate to reach out at any point. And I just want to thank everybody for their cooperation and commitment to Shane today. So thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.